Okay, is my voice clear? Okay, we begin this presentation. UNICEF and WHO are calling for more effort to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding with a focus on assisting working mothers. During World Breastfeeding Week observed from August 1 to August 7, UNICEF and WHO are calling for greater workplace support for working mothers to enable them to breastfeed optimally. They are urging workplaces to implement maternity leave policies and workplace regulation that support breastfeeding. They also call on workplaces to provide adequate time and suitable facilities for mothers to breastfeed or express and store breast milk. Of the workforce in Indonesia consists of women. Okay, previous slide, please. Okay, thank you. Now, why is breastfeeding support in the workplace important? Breastfeeding support is crucial as breastfeeding nourishes and provides all children with the best start in life. Breast milk acts as baby's first vaccine, providing critical protection from disease and even death. Breastfeeding also allows for secure attachment, cognitive development, and reduce the burden of childhood and maternal illness, lowering healthcare costs, creating healthier families, and strengthening the development of societies. Research has found that returning to work without adequate support mechanism can hamper optimal breastfeeding practices. Breastfeeding support is therefore essential for the health and development of children, for mother and society. Next. Supporting breastfeeding in the workplace has significant human and economic benefits. Benefits of breastfeeding for the company, some of them are improving the corporate image of business, showing that they care about the health and well-being of working women in their families, and then reducing the amount of leave requests made to attend doctor appointment, both mother and child, as well as the amount of sick leave. And then reducing maternity issue-related absenteeism, which can translate into 30 to 70% fewer absences. And then increasing the retention of female workers, as they feel more supported by the company. And then reducing the employee turnover rates and saving the company money by eliminating the need to hire and train new staff. Next. Previously, we have discussed the benefit breastfeeding support group. Now, what is the meaning of the support group? Support group is gathering of individuals who share similar situation or have common goals, meeting regularly to share their challenges, successes, information, and ideas related to the situation they face or effort to achieve their desired goals. In the context of breastfeeding, a breastfeeding support group is a group of individuals with experience or interest in supporting breastfeeding mothers to achieve exclusive breastfeeding or improve breastfeeding goals. They can share experiences, provide advice, and offer emotional support to one another. Next. We can form a breastfeeding support group with the following stage. First, socialization. After the socialization, then the selection of motivators. Then the training of the motivator selected, and then activities of the breastfeeding support group, and monitoring and regular meetings. Okay, we'll talk about it one by one. Next. Socialization. The first stage is the socialization of the breastfeeding support group to company leaders and employees. The aim is to raise awareness about the activities, inform employees about the selection of motivators, and garner support from influential stakeholders within the company where the mother works. The participant invite to the socialization page include the community health center, company leaders, the Department of Manpower, working mothers, and prospective motivators. During the socialization of the breastfeeding support group, several topics will be presented, including why breastfeeding is important, what the breastfeeding support group is, the stage of forming the breastfeeding support group, and especially the joint commitment of various parties. Next. The second stage is motivator selection. The participants are working mothers who are interested in becoming potential motivators. Prospective motivator will be provided with information about the breastfeeding support group and will be invited to discuss the roles and responsibilities of motivator within the breastfeeding support group. And what is the criteria for motivator? The criteria for motivator are mothers who are employees of the company, similar in age to most pregnant or breastfeeding mothers currently breastfeeding or have breastfeeding experience, willing to become a motivator voluntarily without expecting material compensation, willing to fulfill the role of a breastfeeding support group motivator voluntarily, and receive full support from their families, willing to allocate time to perform their role, continuously strive to improve their role as motivator. Next slide, please. Next stage, motivator training. The training provided includes breastfeeding management and basic facilitation skills, conducted through methods such as discussion, experiential learning, role-playing, and presentation. In a training program, participants typically cover various aspects relevant to supporting working mothers in their breastfeeding practices. Some of the topics that may be included in the training awareness of the benefit of breastfeeding, and then time management. Motivator will learn how to manage their time for pumping breast milk at the workplace and the importance of maintaining consistency in exclusive breastfeeding. Breastfeeding and expressing technique, and then stress management, supporting working mother. Participants will be taught how to provide emotional and practical support to working mothers through their breastfeeding journey. An effective communication skill to interact with working mothers. Facilitating support group. Participants will learn how to facilitate support group for working mother, where they can share experiences and mutual support, and other topics. The training duration is 3 to 4 hours a day for 4 days, with a total of 10 to 12 participants. The specific aim of motivator training for working mother is to empower them to provide effective support to their fellow working mother in their breastfeeding journey at the workplace. Next stage, activities of the breastfeeding support group. The participant consists of 8 to 10 pregnant or breastfeeding mothers with children aged up to 6 months. These meetings take place every 2 weeks, lasting a maximum of 1 hour, and are guided by the motivator. During the meetings, participants share their experiences, ideas, and stories. The topics discussed revolve around successfully breastfeeding for up to 24 months. Next slide, please. Within the breastfeeding support group, there is a discussion guidebook. In this discussion session, a motivator will answer questions based on the guide. Regular meetings with stakeholders are held every 3 months to discuss the progress, achievement, and challenges faced in the field. Okay, that is the stage of formation breastfeeding support group, which consists of socialization, motivator selection, activities of the breastfeeding support group, and monitoring and regular meeting. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the conclusion. With the breastfeeding support group, the implementation of exclusive breastfeeding is expected to be improved. The support group provides more opportunity for breastfeeding mothers to actively participate in health promotion and education. This group is important because mothers tend to feel supported, cared for, and loved. Okay, that's all I can tell you. I'll return it to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think that it is very, very impressive. Yeah. So your presentation gave us some more experience, some knowledge about this breastfeeding. Right. For the next coming session is going to be the review. Review is about the question and answer session. Now I'm going to give, I would like to invite the audience to ask questions. You can ask your question by raising your hands, or you can write on your chat box. I'm going to read it for you. Come on, audience. Noni. Okay, Noni Angelique, time is yours.
Thank you for the moderator. My name is Nani Angelica. My question is, what does a working mother need to pay attention to in order to breastfeed well and correctly? That is my answer. My question.
Okay, thank
I think, do you get the idea, Miss Satriani?
Can repeat the question, please?
Okay, repeat the question.
What does a working mother need to pay attention to in order to breastfeed well and correctly?
Skincare mau mau ganti apa? Ganti apa? Mau ganti apa, Des?
So,
Yes, it's very noisy here.
Mak di sini aku mau kopi, Mak ya.
I can hear the question.
Tolonglah. Kemarin aku ganti Davina. Bagus nggak? Enggak. Iya, karena dia cocok-cocokan itu di kulit.
okay,
Mr. Khalid, make it clear, please.
so the question is about for the working mother, okay? So, how to make the working mother give the breastfeeding well? So it's about the what we call asking about the situation on the breastfeeding and for the working mother. Angelique, is that right, your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yep.
I can translate in bahasa, Mr. Khalid.
In bahasa Indonesia, it's going to be about untuk seorang ibu yang sibuk bekerja, bagaimana dia dapat melaksanakan breastfeeding dengan baik.
Okay, thank you. For the working mother yang sibuk bekerja ya. Jadi memang ketika ibu hamil, I'm sorry, I answer with bahasa Indonesia.
Okay.
Ketika ibu setelah hamil ya, kemudian melahirkan, tentu saja sebelum turun ke tempat kerja itu ada masa cuti ya. Masa cuti itu kira-kira sekitar 3 bulan. Nah, sebelum masa cuti berakhir, jadi bisa dipastikan untuk ibu menyusui tadi itu sudah mempersiapkan. Jadi bukan hanya pada saat turun kerja, lalu kemudian mempersiapkan bagaimana caranya dia menyusui dengan baik. Ya. Contoh misalnya, sebelum bekerja, dia sudah mempersiapkan, ya sudah pumping ASI-nya. Ya, dia bisa mempersiapkan pumping ASI sehingga nanti ada stok pada saat nanti kembali bekerja. Kemudian terkait dengan kelompok motivator ASI ini ya, apabila di tempat kerjanya ada kelompok motivator atau pendukung ASI, dia bisa bergabung ya, untuk kemudian dia mendapatkan edukasi terkait ASI ya, kemudian dukungan dari sesama ibu menyusui. Tetapi kalau misalnya ternyata di perusahaannya tidak ada kelompok pendukung ASI, dia bisa bergabung atau dia bisa bergabung ini ya, kan sekarang banyak ya kelompok-kelompok yang pro ASI melalui grup-grup online ya, seperti di Instagram itu dia bisa bergabung. Karena ketika bergabung dengan grup yang bisa sharing, itu akan lebih memotivasi ibu untuk memberikan ASI eksklusif kepada bayinya. Seperti itu.
Okay, right. So I'm trying to translate from the answer Ibu Satriani answered about the situation in Indonesia for the mother who give birth for 3 months. He got the annual leave, or what we call working leave, for about 3 months. So a mother should prepare herself to make sure that he is ready, that she is ready to get on to the work. So maybe by providing the milk by pumping, and then also in the office will have to maybe join the motivator, group of motivator, if there is a group of motivator in the working, in the office. And then joining for this one will educate the mother to give the motivation to keep breastfeeding to her baby. Okay, that's the answer of Satriani's, from Miss Satriani. Okay, what do you think, Miss Angelique?
Boleh bertanya Pak Holik?
Thank you for the answer, Miss Sis.
Next.
Pak Holik.
Yep.
Izin Pak Holik.
Yes, please.
Saya tidak tahu bahasa Inggris, saya paham bahasa Indonesia.
Okay, please.
Boleh izin Pak Holik?
Silakan.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Dan
wabarakatuh.
selamat pagi, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Yang perlu saya di sini hanya perlu sharing ya, Bu Satriani. Alhamdulillah mantap Bu Satriani. Cuma mungkin tadi jawaban yang diberikan ke mahasiswa kita bersepakat dulu bahwa motivator ASI itu adalah sebenarnya adalah kadar posyandu, boleh. Sehingga kalau misalnya mendapatkan motivator ASI itu bukan di kantornya saja, tetapi juga kalau dia ada posyandu di situ, itu mungkin dipahami dulu. Atau bukan pertanyaannya, di sini tadi ada salah satu saya sangat tertarik dengan motivator training, pelatihan motivator training ya, salah satunya adalah salah satu untuk memfasilitasi supergroup tadi ini, satunya adalah motivator training. Yang saya ingin minta diperjelas, bagaimana caranya kita bisa memastikan bahwa dengan pemberian 3 sampai 4 kali selama 4 hari itu sudah dapat perlu jawaban bahwa ibu postpartum tersebut, kan di sini kan postpartum ya, breastfeeding ada postpartum. Ibu postpartum tersebut sudah dapat dikatakan sudah keberhasilan dalam motivator training. Dengan di teorinya tadi Bu Satriani mengatakan bahwa 3 sampai 4 kali ya selama 4 hari. Dengan partisipan 10 sampai 12 partisipan. Nah, bagaimana kira-kira kiatnya kita bisa mendapatkan bahwa kapan dapatkah kita memastikan bahwa dengan waktu yang digunakan untuk motivator training ini dapat berhasil tadi. Terus bagaimana caranya memastikan bahwa hasil motivator training kita ini sudah berhasil. Itu mungkin Bu Satriani. Terima kasih Pak Holik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bagus ini materi, bagus.
Bagus sekali materinya, betul. Oke, Ibu,
ya,
Miss.
Biar mahasiswa tahu kan maksudnya.
Time is yours to answer the question from Ibu Jasma.
Okay, thank you Bu Jasma for the question. I will answer with bahasa Indonesia. Ya, memang Bu Jasma, selama ini kita ketahui kelompok pendukung ASI itu biasanya diberikan kepada kader ya. Kader yang biasanya ada di posyandu. Tapi Bu Jasma perlu dipahami juga bahwa kelompok pendukung ASI ini itu juga bisa diterapkan di perusahaan. Dan itu sudah banyak training program ya yang sudah dilakukan di beberapa perusahaan. Kemudian untuk trainingnya itu memang durasinya 3 sampai 4 jam per hari ya selama 4 hari. Mengapa 3 sampai 4 jam? Karena kan kita ketahui bahwa kriteria motivator itu adalah ibu bekerja. Jadi tidak mungkin kita memberikan training itu melebihi dari melebihi dari 4 jam ya, karena kan menyesuaikan ibu tersebut juga bekerja. Kemudian bagaimana memastikan bahwa motivated training tadi berhasil? Tentunya kan kita sebelum melakukan training itu ada pretestnya terlebih dahulu. Ya untuk mengetahui bagaimana sih pengetahuan dan juga keterampilan dari motivator training sebelum dilatih. Kemudian nanti setelah full days itu akan dilakukan post test. Nah, ini kita akan mengetahui peningkatan dari pengetahuan motivator training yang sudah dilatih. Kemudian untuk keterampilan, karena memang di dalam motivator training ini ada misalnya materi terkait keterampilan bagaimana cara menyusui yang baik ya, tentu saja itu bisa diobservasi ya dengan checklist, misalnya checklist untuk mengetahui keterampilan dari motivator yang telah di-training. Seperti itu, Bu.
Ya, harus dilihat langsung ya, harus dilihat langsung bisa mempraktekkan. Ya, terima kasih.
Sama-sama, Bu.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Jasma. So, Miss Jasma ask about the...
Dan tentunya, mohon izin Pak Holid, dan tentunya yang akan bisa memberikan ilmu ini adalah ya para petugas kesehatan yang paham tentang anatomi payudara. Paham anatomi payudara, anak paham tentang isi daripada ASI. Nah, tuh, jadi berarti dalam motivator itu ya tentunya bekerja sama antara bidan ataupun dokter ataupun perawat dengan gizi. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, thank you very much.
Maaf ya suara saya Pak.
So this one is about the motivator. So the motivator should be from someone who already educated in midwifery and also in nutrition, right? And to make sure that this motivator groups will be successful, then in giving the trainings, we must give the pre-test and the post-test. And then also in the training, it is about how to breastfeed well. So giving the training, and then after giving the training, then we should give the post-test. So it must be done by educated in the health. So the next step is going to be the. We appreciate about your presentation, Ms. Satriani. So we would like to give you the virtual certificate. So
okay,
this is the virtual certificate for you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Yeah. Hope that you can also join in the other international conference for the next international conference. Thank you very much. And then I think that's all for the presenters. There were 3 presenters. First speaker, second speaker, and the third speaker. Now I think it is time for me to end this as moderator. Then for the next coming step is going to be given to the master of ceremony. Time is yours. Okay, master of ceremony, please.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Halik. And now we move on session 2. The discussion will be moderated by our moderator, Ms. Maulida Julia Saputri, Master of Immunology. Ms. Maulida is one of the lecturers of Medical Technology Laboratory from Polytechnique of East Kalimantan. To Ms. Maulida, time is yours.
Enggak, di laptop aja sudah. Enggak apa-apa loh. Taruh aja. Dekat banget. Okay, thank you for the master of this ceremony for giving me the opportunity. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second session of the third International Conference on Lactation Management. My name is Maulida Julia Saputri, and I'm going to be the moderator of this session. Okay, for this session we have two speakers. We have Dr. Margaret Wibling, midwife specialist, registered midwife, Master of Science, PhD, midwifery, the Healthy Mom and Baby Clinic in South Africa. Okay, I'd like to greet Dr. Margaret. Are you here with us?
Hi, good morning. Yes, I am here.
Yeah,
Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, good morning in there, yeah.
Good morning. Yes, it's morning on my side.
Yeah.
It's such a privilege to be here. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to share my screen.
Okay, but first I'm going to read the CV of Dr. Margaret Wibling first. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Margaret Wibling is a general manager of the Sister Lilian Center and Sensitivity Midwifery in South Africa. She had her bachelor's degree in midwifery from the Artebel Hogeschool in Ghent, Belgium in 2002, and furthered her studies with a bachelor honors in advanced midwifery and neonatal nursing science in 2012 and master research degree in 2014 and PhD in 2019 from the Nelson Mandela University in Canberra, South Africa. Her PhD looked at strategies to scale up clinical midwifery practice in South Africa. She is passionate about woman-centered midwife-led care and has become an advocate for a better birthing culture in South Africa. Okay, Dr. Margaret Wibling, this session will be divided into three parts. The first part is the presentations, and the second part is discussion. All the audience can ask a question by raising your hand in a room Zoom, or you can write your question in the chat box, and then I'm going to read them for you. So, and then the last session is closing and conclusion. So, Dr. Margaret Wibling, you have 90 minutes with 75 minutes to presentation and 50 minutes for the discussion. Now, Dr. Margaret, time is yours.
Thank you so much for that introduction.
I'm sorry, Dr. Marquez, you are muted. You can unmute your. Yeah. Still, you can unmute.
There you go. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes. Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Good to go. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me this morning. And I think it's almost afternoon on your side. It is afternoon. I'm very honored to be here. I see there's so many participants online, and I'm sure also in a real time. And it's such an important event that you've created. So thank you so much. I absolutely love Indonesia. To be honest, I've just been there earlier this year for the ICM Congress, as well as my honeymoon in Bali. I just got married, so it was my second time in Bali actually. And yeah, Indonesia is one of my favorite places to go to. So just from my end, also a welcome. And to everyone online and in this venue where you are at. So just a quick word on Sensitive Midwifery that I am the general manager of. Sensitive Midwifery is a beautiful organization that has got lots of different initiatives. But my heart and passion is to scale up midwives and to improve on our standards and just empower midwives. And we do that through sensitive midwifery, through symposiums, like conferences like you have, as well as an online academy. We've got memberships options for midwives, blogs, YouTubes, lots of educational initiatives. We also run a mom-facing website. This is to empower moms as well, because we believe it doesn't help it. We empower midwives more about going back to our mission is really to empower midwives to go back to the basics of midwifery and the more natural approach, and to go against the medicalized approach that has entered our world so much. So we also really know that there's so much mom education and mom empowerment needed. So we've got a lot of education for moms as well. So for today, I've been asked to talk about breastfeeding for the working mom, and which is, there's a lot I'm sure to say about it. But before that, I quickly just want to go back to some basics on successful breastfeeding startup, because that really lays the foundation for a mom to carry on with breastfeeding for a longer period of time. And also just to refresh our mind why it is so important that she does that. So we'll be talking about continued breastfeeding from then, and then how to implement it going to into the working space, back to work, and how we as healthcare professionals can support a mom in that and prepare for that. I've also done quite a bit of research to understand the Indonesian context. So we will from there try to go into the Indonesian context and see how we can make it more practical. All right. So first and foremost, successful breastfeeding startup. We know that mothers are born with the innate ability to breastfeed. And babies come to earth programmed to suckle at the breast. That's one of the most beautiful things that we get to witness as birth keepers when we are at a birth, and just see that how that baby, if it has a beautiful birth, is just looking for mom's breast within the first 20 to 30 minutes. So no one has to tell the baby how to do it. It's something that they are born with. And moms also are born with the innate ability to do so. It really is the vital link to protecting the mother and baby unit. So it is so important. And we should never, ever, when we do any of those things that we are doing as healthcare professionals, remember how incredible Mother Nature is and how absolutely amazing we are designed, and not to interrupt those beautiful processes of that happens in that first golden hour, and to set a baby up for a successful start of life. And it's just a beautiful picture. There's nothing better when that fresh newborn finds mommy's breast, and that initial connection that's been made, that amazing satisfaction for mom. And then we just know when this happens, baby is up for a good start, gets all the right colostrum inside, etc. So successful breastfeeding startup really depends on us as midwives to be the real authentic breastfeeding ambassadors. We need to wholeheartedly believe that breastfeeding isn't a difficult medical process, but a truly instinctive and physiological one. We need to question and change the medical mindset that has landed birth and breastfeeding in such a pickle. So we do a lot of training for midwives to get them back to the basics of natural birthing, and we continuously to educate them about the continuum, that everything, pregnancy, birth, and postnatal care is all on a continuum. So whenever we start interfering during pregnancy and during birth, we also set women, we interfere actually also postnatally quite often. However, if we allow the natural path to unfold with healthy women, then most likely she's also set up for a very successful breastfeeding and quite a physiological process. And it's really not a medical procedure. Okay, we must be aware that we don't treat mommies like that. Except that encouragement is the most important advice that's required. So that is the bottom line when it comes to successful from the beginning right till the end, is that the most important thing we need to do is to encourage her. And that is the most important advice, and to bring her back to her mother intuition, because she actually does know what's best deep inside, and we need to enforce that and encourage her. We also need to ensure a protected and a more silent space for nursing mothers in the first day, so that breastfeeding can unfold as Mother Nature intended, as the same applies to birthing women. There is a time and a space that women do need help with breastfeeding, and that's also why we have specialists in breastfeeding. So refer to mothers to something like a Lesh League. I have no idea if that also exists in Indonesia, but support groups or with other mothers are really great. Or if she's really walking into problems, something like a lactation consultant. So just revisiting the amazing colostrum, this has a rich supply of antibodies from mother, which provide protection for months. And it also protects the baby from respiratory and internal mucous membranes infections. It's high with leukocytes and help destroy bacteria and viruses. The sticky colostrum coats the gestational internal tract, and really helping prevent foreign substances from penetrating. It helps, for example, with a food allergy protection. So all these things are so key, and that's why we want babies to get that right from the start. It's extremely easy to digest, and it has the perfect volume for stomach capacity and the sleep-feed cycles. It has a very concentrated nutrition, and it's low in fat, high in carbohydrates and protein. It also has a laxative effect to pass meconium, which is amazing, and aid excretion of excess bilirubin. So just again, like we as midwives and birth workers, we know we want that baby to get all of the colostrum it possibly can, because it prevents from so many other issues. The nature has provided for that in such an amazing way. It also has excellent vitamin K to protect against hemorrhagic disease. Isn't that incredible? We give vitamin K after birth to prevent bleeding, but even nature knew that and has made provision for extra vitamin K in colostrum. So just make sure that mom gets all those good stuff, the baby, I'm sure. It also has microlytic properties to break down and expel mucus. So things to have that we can do, and some tips to protect startup breastfeeding is very, very key to how mom give birth, right? It starts there already. So help moms to avoid drugs in labor so that baby's not too sleepy to feed that vital first feed. Even epidural drugs can be found in a cord blood. So that really influenced the baby. All right, so we must be careful with what we give her during labor. Recognize the importance of a mother's nursing task and encourage her. So it starts there already to encourage. So we as healthcare professionals must be breastfeeding ambassadors right from the start. Place baby skin to skin against her chest to establish early breastfeeding and ensure peaceful private atmosphere for nursing attempts. Also avoid test weighing at all costs. It's inaccurate and anxiety provoking. Definitely don't advocate for timing of feeds, but rather to get to know baby. And babies are all individuals, they're all different. Like we as humans, some people eat very fast and other very slow. So babies can suck as long or as short as they want. So those early times, it's already setting mom up for motherhood in the bigger picture. So if we help her here already to rather get to know her baby, I always say read your baby, not Google, and get to know baby, and then start following her intuition. That will carry on for the rest of her parenting journey, right? So here we set her up for being a successful parent. Definitely offer no bottles of water or formula unless it's medically necessary, and ensure that baby rooms in with mom at all times. Keep an eye out for correct latching, but don't direct her. Just encourage her. Okay, direction, we always need to be careful with our words because it can disempower moms that you feel like, I don't know what to do, I'm not able to do this. So just encourage her and quietly help her in that way. If her breasts are too firm for baby to suck from, place warm cloths on them for a few minutes and express a little milk until the areola soften around the nipples. That's obviously when the milk has come in. And never say you have too little or too weak milk, because this is virtually non-existent. We must be so careful with our words. But when mummies always fear this so much that I might not have enough. But the opposite is true. We just need to help her understand the physiology, which is not my duty to talk about today. So just in a nutshell is that all new mothers need is encouragement and the feeling that you believe in their ability to nurse and in breastfeeding itself. So that is all she needs, and that is all I wanted to just share before we start into prolonged breastfeeding. Very important a principle that we teach our mommies and midwives is to learn to rest when baby is on the breast. That right from the beginning, because that will set her up to continue breastfeeding for a long time, especially at night. It's very and just have a position like this. She won't wake up completely or, battle to fall back to sleep. Because oftentimes we think baby has sleep issues, but babies sleep normal, like they do with short sleep cycles. But the mom battles to sleep because she wakes up and then battle to fall back asleep, and she develops a shortage of sleep. And that can be very also disempowering when it comes to breastfeeding. You all know rest is extremely important, even for the making of the milk. So this is a wonderful position for a woman that she can breastfeed in, especially during the night times. And then once you've established a good startup of breastfeeding, the initial days and weeks, after that, breastfeeding soon becomes the easiest thing imaginable. And isn't that true? We've seen moms, it's just become so easy for them and very convenient. Okay. So then let's move on for continued breastfeeding and why we want a woman to carry on breastfeeding for a long time. Studies have shown that waiting until the baby is 4 months old before returning to full-time work is more likely to lead to a longer breastfeeding relationship, and especially exclusive breastfeeding. Okay, so that is just sort of the baseline that we would like to establish, I think, in every country, to have moms at least 4 months before they have to return to work. So now you can start thinking, what is happening in our context? We will get there later, and would love to maybe hear about it too. But in order for a mom to have a good long-term relationship with breastfeeding, she needs to have a very proper startup and a good relationship with breastfeeding. All right. And then just the interesting fact is that a study was done, and it just shows also how financially impactful it can be to have prolonged breastfeeding. Obviously, also in terms of for the moms themselves, for not having to buy formula, but also just listen to this: not breastfeeding exclusively for 6 months and not continuing to breastfeed for 2 years and beyond can incur a substantial cost. So just low cognitive development was estimated to cause global losses of about 636 billion in 2012. So I don't know how they have put a number to it, but I think if we all start to think about it, that the impact of not breastfeeding is actually economically far worse than for us trying to put in effort to help moms to carry on with breastfeeding. I think oftentimes in workspaces, and they don't believe like that. I think like it's the other way around. Breastfeeding might just interfere with their normal lives, but it comes with a cost. Babies don't develop as well as we know breastfeeding can help them. There's more sicknesses, more doctor visits, etc., for all those things that we deprive babies from not having breast milk. So there are lots of benefits for prolonged breastfeeding. And if we look at how babies are, their design, if you only look at the digestive enzyme profile of a baby, you can see that babies were actually designed to breastfeed for at least 2 to 3 years. So that is normal. That's Mother Nature. Okay. If breastfed for 9 to 18 months, babies will be very reluctant to stop. So they've come into this beautiful rhythm with mom, and that is normal. If they don't want to stop, they're not naughty. Babies are not spoiled. They simply know what is best. Okay, breastfeeding for a prolonged period is one of the most precious and beneficial gifts a mother can give a little one, especially during baby's first year, when it plays a very important nutritional role. So we know that always that the first year is the majority of the feeding should be milk, right? So it also helps moms when they think of prolonged breastfeeding, that when they go older, after a year, baby will also start being nourished through the food that it starts to eat. And breastfeeding becomes maybe less frequent, but still have an important role. But it's not only depending on breast milk anymore. So after that, as I said now, the baby's overall need for milk will start to dwindle, although breast milk will continue to provide excellent nutrients, immune strengthening benefits, and emotional security. The emotional value makes weaning tricky, especially if there have been changes or stress in the family. So you must really remember how much breastfeeding is a bonding and emotional thing. So if a mom does want to wean off her baby, it can really be tricky. I will talk about some weaning tips right at the end. Breastfeeding becomes so quick and easy over time that midwives and clinic sisters would do well to encourage moms to continue even when they go back to work. Societal norms are fortunately changing, but encourage her to know that it's she who needs to feel shame or guilt, but rather anyone who makes it difficult for her. And I don't know about your context, how that is, but in society, in our modern world, women can easily feel shame and guilt if they want to actually carry on with breastfeeding, whereas everyone around her says she must just rather stop and get on with it. So she really, that might make it very difficult for her. So we need to know also her context in order to help her go navigate through that. Then just a word of breastfeeding in public spaces in general. Also societal norms might have made it like that's not done or that's awkward. But if we look at how society has just looked at suggestive advertising, and that is just fine, you know, with booby showing whatsoever. There's still some that have a problem with breastfeeding and a baby in public. It really is not uncivilized, disgusting, or exhibitionist. It's just responding to a baby's natural needs. Breastfeeding moms don't try to draw attention to themselves. In fact, they really discreetly latch baby on. They will quietly go on with their business if baby needs it. The problem is really in the mind of the beholder and not with the hungry baby or the mother meeting his needs. So how can midwives and anyone working with moms in that space help mothers to understand working and breastfeeding can be combined? Many new moms contemplate their return to employment, contemplating when they need to go back, believe that their choices are either to stay at home and breastfeed or to give an artificial milk to their babies if they need to go to work. Isn't that true, unfortunately? And they just think, I need to, as soon as baby's out, they already start thinking about weaning because I need to go back to work. Some might not even breastfeed their babies from birth for this reason. And a big percentage of the workforce is female. Many of them will have babies and face what I see as this agonizing dilemma. And I'm sure that's the same in Indonesia, that women, unfortunately or fortunately, they have to go back to work, even to make, they have to bring finances into the family. And that might really by default set them up for not breastfeeding, as they've thought about it already when they're pregnant, like I wouldn't be able to breastfeed because I need to get my baby used to be on the bottle or whatsoever so that I can go back to work. So we need to help her get out of that mindset, and that's all of our responsibility. Okay. I'm just gonna, my subheading. Discuss the benefits of negotiating optimal maternity leave and of minimizing, I can't see my words because my pictures are on there, before the birth and minimizing leave before the birth and maximizing leave after the birth to allow more time for successful breastfeeding. So we can really help her. For example, in South Africa, moms get 4 months of maternity leave, but then, especially if they're healthy, we can encourage them to not take too much leave before the baby is born. But if she can carry on as long as possible, it gives her more time with the baby after the birth. Then explore the mother's work situation with her while her baby is still young. And she can maybe consider rather a more flexi time or some job sharing or even part-time work, for example. Or she could look at her work situation where there's a group of colleagues that can motivate for a childcare facility at her place of work to enable breastfeeding during lunch breaks. So, and we'll talk more about it later, but to see how workplaces are actually set up for breastfeeding moms. But we can talk to her about it because every workplace will be different. Some will be more breastfeeding friendly as others. However, the good trend is that a growing number of companies worldwide have discovered the benefits of providing this for their employees. Then you can suggest that she might possibly ease her return to full-time work. For example, first few weeks, only a few days per week. Also, it may be less stressful to go back for a Thursday and a Friday and then have the weekend to reconnect with her babies, instead of the daunting prospect of that first long week of separation. So just some more easy, smooth easing into things. Okay, then share some inspiring local examples of mothers who had positive experiences. So we know these days lots of those young moms, they are on social media and they follow influencers. It would be great if we have some influencers that actually have done this, or some good examples, or professional women that we look up to that have successfully done combined breastfeeding and work. So that we can encourage others. Mothers in more rigid work environments, like the military, of those whose jobs often involve separation of several days, like being a flight attendant, those have made arrangements to leave enough breast milk and actually cherish the connection this gave them with their babies, saying, "It's something we share and reassures me that I'm irreplaceable to him." So that was those moms' motivation to actually carry on through the effort of exclusive breastfeeding. So we need to encourage by example. It is helpful when health professionals and others support people acknowledge the intense feelings of anxiety and trepidation about leaving her baby. This is not something that shouldn't be dismissed. The mom can have intense feelings of anxiety when she has to go back to work, and we need to acknowledge that. Support her when her motivation to keep expressing at work is low, especially if baby is over 6 months, and many factors may affect her will to continue. For example, a lack of support of colleagues and even bosses, distraction and time-consuming meetings, unpredictable meetings, and just an overall fatigue and a reduced feelings of connectedness with the baby. So again, lots of support and encouragement and motivation is what mom needs. She needs to know and be reminded that her breast milk is the most important part of her baby's diet for the first 6 months, and that after 6 months, the other complementary foods are an addition. It's not instead of it. Also, she's providing vital protection against the germs and which baby will be exposed to in daycare. So she's actually taking care of him even though they are working. Another powerful motivation is that breastfeeding keeps mothering hormones circulating in a mother's system, and therefore enabling her to sustain that precious, strong attachment to her baby. So those are positive things that we can remind her about on the very, very important job that she's doing by going through the extra efforts. Okay, so invaluable emotional support. That's what moms need more than anything. Reassure her that she can increase a low supply again by frequent expressing her breast. More often is better than the pressure to get a large volume just once a day. So it is all about the frequency of expressing, because we know it's about the demand, right? How much milk we produce. Remind a mother to breastfeed whenever she is with her baby. Okay, nights, weekends, holidays, following the principle of plenty of nursing instead of plenty of, I can't read that word, I was just going away. So moms need to get in the habit that the baby needs to suck quite a lot, and that there's nothing wrong with it if baby wants to suck a bit more when she is with baby, because that will just actually really help her milk flow when she needs to express. She may also have She must also have slipped into a meal-only attitude to nursing a baby to find a kind of a pattern, so she could go back to breastfeeding for other reasons, like comfort and calming baby in between feeds time. But as the womanly art of breastfeeding, feeds really are about connection, and all that connection adds up to a stronger bond. Then listen to mothers when they express their feelings, when they're anxious or when they are regretful or guilty. We need to really take those serious and listen to them. And then reassure them that their feelings and strength of attachment are normal. Okay? And then praise them for their continued commitment to breastfeeding. The stories of other mothers who breastfeed show that they also feel proud and empowered, instead of having the anguish and heartbreak of being separated from their babies. That really helped them it makes them feel that they still have a very special relationship with their babies. So the bottom line is that we need to take a woman in an individual situation and hear what are the things in her mind that actually blocks her for having a good working and breastfeeding experience. So we will get lots of questions from moms when it comes to expression of milk, because that's obviously what she needs to do when she wants to go back to work. So just a few tips that we can help her to achieve a good letdown and express successfully at work. Placing a photograph of her baby or even a video clip on her cell phone close by. So just the thought of the baby will help her to have to express milk. Then draping an item of clothing with her baby's smell over her shoulder. That can help her to get the milk let down. Help her to do some deep breathing exercises before expressing, just to get in a relaxing mode and get out of work mode. Ask a colleague for a quick shoulder massage to help her to relax. Listening to music with earphones, whatever works for a mommy, that help her to get those breasts, let the milk down. If privacy is important to her, she could put a notice on the door where she can let people know that I can respect that space. So no matter where she wants to sit, if she has a dedicated space or if it's in her office, just to give her privacy, that you put a note on the door. Some mothers express in their cars to actually avoid being disturbed, for that matter. So anyway, whatever she does, just the thought of her baby being nourished by her breast milk, the following day can be enough, so that she know that what she's doing will help the baby. And one mother explained, when my son's babysitter said that he drank all the milk I had expressed for him the day before, I would feel so proud and excited that I could be giving that to him while still be working. So that is great motivations for mom to do it. So we will definitely get questions like this. There's on how much they need to express. Okay. So the answer to that is that there is no correct answer. And mothers can select from different guides, like the 3 below, to suit their own baby's needs. So I've got 3 different sources just as examples on how much moms do need to express if they are going back to work. So for the average baby of however amount of months, drinks up to 89 to 148 mils per feed. That is 750 to 1,035 mils per day. So this can lead to the following average amounts. So if you look at the numbers of hours of separation, then you can calculate, they calculated the amount of milk that a mom would need to express. So obviously the shorter she's separated, the less she needs to do. And you can just make that calculation for her if she needs to, but it just gives her sort of an idea. Source 2 is if mom is away from the baby for 9 hours, including commuting and working, then 360 ml should be left in 6 60 ml containers. So that is quite an easy one. So different containers of 60 ml, 360 ml in total. Babies may take 60 to 120 ml per feed. That's source 3, and feed 8 to 12 times. For an 8-hour separation, this would mean leaving amounts from as little as 160 ml to 250 ml, 320 ml, or as much as 480 ml. So it also obviously depends on where the baby is, how old the baby is, and how much it has been drinking. As babies grow older, they might don't need that much anymore. So it is best if the baby associates his mother completely with the breast and caregivers with other feeding methods chosen. Reassure her that in the early weeks, she should just enjoy the special connection time of breastfeeding, and also to building her confidence and milk supply. That she shouldn't be too concerned about going back to work in the beginning days. She should just enjoy it. And then before she goes to work, then another feeding method can be introduced. An option is to do cup feeding, and many mothers actually prefer that. So one mom, for example, expressed that the cup feeding, not only was it helping with avoiding nipple confusion and hygiene reasons, but it also ensured her at work that there was undivided attention given to the baby by her carer at various intervals during the day, instead of being left with a propped bottle. So that was quite a great reassurance for that mother. Okay, then just some more food for thought is that we can help moms with is to encourage the mom who works outside the home to try to find a warm, caring and responsive mother substitute to care for her baby. Someone she really trusts to give honest feedback about the baby's behavior, the needs and the milk consumption. So there need to be good conversation with the carer to see how it's all going. She may need to teach the carer about exclusive breastfeeding and how important it is to her. So exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months, we know it's very enforced in South Africa, but I'm sure you also all know the benefits of that. So if a carer is going to interfere with that in the beginning, if a baby's still under 6 months, it might mess things up for mom and baby. So your carer needs to also be knowledgeable, because everything we really believe in, we would fight for it, right? So she needs to be knowledgeable about exclusive breastfeeding and so forth. So some mothers are lucky enough to find daycare very close to their workplaces, so they can actually nurse their babies during breaks, or even get the babies brought to them. Just imagine how amazing that would be. Discuss normal infant behavior, and warning her that many babies whose moms are away at work want to nurse more at night. So we know that breastfeeding is very much a connection thing, about being connected with mom. Obviously, there can be something like the missing mom syndrome, being missing mom during the day, and baby is going to be a bit more needy during the night. So moms need to know about that. And then the point I made earlier about co-sleeping, baby being with mom, will make this easier and give the baby much needed reassurance that all is well, and also ensure a good milk supply. So one Lola's League leader guiding principle is that in the early days, the baby has intense need to be with his mother, which is as basic as his need for foods. While some babies are eager to nurse as soon as they are united with their mothers, others may be rather wary and aloof. So that means is that they might also have been a bit disturbed by this mom going back to work, and they might not be intensely keen straight away, but be a bit upset. Explain that a mother can't expect to breastfeed only on her terms. Okay, the baby and her child is an equal participant, and she may first need to spend some time regaining her baby's trust, carrying him a bit or her until he or she has relaxed and is willing to nurse again. So that is also we can reassure moms on that. Some might feel a bit rejected, hey? Okay, then a word on weaning to go back to work, because some moms really do want to go, they have that in their mind, they want to get off the breast. So again, we need to then help her very much with her decision making. Because this is really a big thing in mom's minds. So it can begin almost as soon as mom has got her breastfeeding basics sorted. And she knows she has got a short maternity leave. So they think they must plan for and practice well ahead of their return to work despite struggling terribly. Now, when it comes to weaning cold turkey, meaning just from the one day to the other day, trying to get baby off the breast, could work. But the emotional payoff is huge for mother and baby. So do everything possible to encourage continued breastfeeding. That is our first and foremost role that we want to do. Engage with employers, help women to express at work, to build up our own bank for when baby cannot feed directly. So we are all about a sensitive weaning approach. Really, as much as women want to wean to go back to work, they often will decide to carry on breastfeeding if the midwife or the breastfeeding advisor is non-coercive, reassuring, and innovative. A gradual weaning is kinder, easier, and helps avoid the need for medication to stop the breast milk supply. Also, breastfeeding babies seldom take a bottle from mom initially, and mom needs to know that. Caregivers must hold baby close and give extra emotional care. Some babies also go on an initial hunger strike in protest, but will eventually take milk when they are really hungry. So for Sister Lillian Center, we've developed a gentle weaning guide for moms, and I've shared it also with the organizers, and you're welcome to use it as a handout or translate it in your language. I will just run through a gentle weaning guide, what it looks like. Okay, this weaning guide will work for any age, but it is designed for 3 to 6 months babies. It's a 2 weeks journey of gently do less breast milk and more formula. So at day 1, you can stop one breastfeed before baby is quite ready. So you just cut the breastfeed short after the worst hunger has been stilled. Then you wait for 15 minutes and then get someone else to offer 50 milliliters of half-strength formula. You repeat that on the day 2. So just one breastfeed that you cut a bit shorter and introduce the bottle with half-strength formula. Then on day 3, you can stop one breastfeeding after the worst hunger, but a little bit sooner than on day 1 and 2. So it's a shorter breastfeed. Then wait for 10 minutes and offer 50 mils of 2/3 strength of formula. So you make the formula a bit stronger. And then you repeat it on day 4, but you do it twice a day. And you do the same on day 5. Then on day 6, you stop completely 2 feeds, the feeds that you've already cut short to the previous days. Now you cut them off, you stop them, and you offer formula strength. And then by day 7, you repeat day 6, but now for 3 feeds. On day 8, you can replace 1 whole feed with full strength formula, mid-morning and mid-afternoon. It is possible now for mom to offer the feeds to baby. Baby will be probably used for mom now, doing less breastfeeding and happy to take the bottle from mom. Replace 2 feeds and top up 3 feeds with 75 ml of formula after the worst breastfeeding hunger passes. So now there's two full feeds of formula, and the other 3 feeds you've just cut it short and added some formula. Then on day 10 you can replace 2 feeds and top up 4 feeds. Day 11 you can replace 3 feeds and top up all the other feeds. On day 12 you can replace 4 feeds and top up the rest. Day 13 you can replace 5 feeds and top up all the others. And day 14 you replace all feeds with formula. So this is just a very good example of how you can do kind weaning and get baby off the breast if that's needed. Okay, so that was a little bit of the background and some tips and so forth, just in general on mummies going back to work. And now I just want to carry on with a little bit the Indonesian context on how this is practical in your environment. This is some research I've done. It might be not true, I don't know, but it would be nice to hear if this is if yes, yeah, that's true. This is how it's going in our environment, and I'm sure there's quite a lot of differences in different places also. But originally, I've learned that culturally breastfeeding is very important in Indonesia, and the government has a strong commitment to promoting it. And I want to believe that because this very important international initiative that you are actually hosting today. However, breastfeeding rates have declined in recent years. Is that true? According to the 2021 National Basic Health Research Survey, only 52.5% of infants under 6 months of age are exclusively breastfed, and only 48.6% are breastfed within the first hour of life. All right, so that is the latest statistic that I could find. So what are some of the contributing factors to low breastfeeding rates in Indonesia? There is a lack of support for breastfeeding mothers in the workplace. And that is probably why you guys are wanting me to talk to support it better in the workplace. However, the Indonesian labor law supports women's right to breastfeed and ensures they won't lose their jobs because of it. However, this policy is often not followed or enforced. And isn't that is the same here in South Africa? It's on paper looks good, but the enforcement, that's where it's lacking. Aggressive marketing of breast milk substitutes. Unfortunately, that is the truth. Hey, in South Africa, they've banned now the marketing of formulas. We're not allowed to market at all to actually counterfeit this issue. So breast milk substitute companies frequently use unethical marketing practices to promote their products, including making false and misleading claims about the benefits of their products and the risks of breastfeeding. Wow, can you imagine the risks of breastfeeding? So wrong. Then also social cultural norms and beliefs. Some traditional beliefs and practices can discourage breastfeeding, such as the belief that giving a baby water or formula will help them to sleep longer. And doesn't that happen a lot? That often happens also when carers are getting involved with baby to give them water or formula. There has been initiatives implemented by the government, correct me if I'm wrong, but establishing breastfeeding-friendly hospitals and clinics. These facilities provide mothers with support and information on breastfeeding, and they follow the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding. Also, training of healthcare workers on breastfeeding, counseling, and support. This helps to ensure that mothers have access to qualified professionals who can help them with the breastfeeding challenges. And we all, as midwives, should be those professionals. We should be empowered enough to help women with that. It's not only a lactation consultant's job. I'm very much passionate about that. As midwives, we should be able to help women with their breastfeeding support. All right. Raising awareness of the benefits of breastfeeding and the risks of breast milk substitutes. Public education campaigns are being conducted to inform mothers and families about the importance of breastfeeding and the dangers of using breast milk substitutes. So that I'm not sure if you're aware of that, if that is happening in your area, but that is obviously the best thing a government can do to improve breastfeeding rates. So despite the challenges in Indonesia, it seems that there's a growing movement to support breastfeeding mothers and promote exclusive breastfeeding. And I believe this movement is driven by mothers themselves and healthcare professionals like yourself, and that is really exciting. So obviously maternity leave is very, very important for women in order to have a good breastfeeding basis. That's why I start right in the beginning of my presentation on the importance of laying that foundation of breastfeeding very well. And then she will probably easily carry on with breastfeeding because it's become normal to her and very easy, and she's seen the benefits at work. So maternity leave for women that has delivered is extremely important. So according to your law, women workers are entitled to 3 months of maternity leave with full wages paid throughout the period. So that is a little bit shorter as that 4 months period that we said studies have shown that is sort of the ideal time for women to carry on with continuous breastfeeding. So perhaps you could lobby for an extra month in your country, who knows? However, many women in Indonesia do not enjoy their full maternity leave entitlement, so they're not even getting to the 3 months of leave. The contributing factors to this can be just a lack of awareness of their rights. So we need to empower them that they know about their rights. Also, very real is a fear of job loss or even discrimination. And then a lack of support from employers and financial constraints. Also, many women work in the informal sector where there's less protection for workers' rights. Then what is happening with breastfeeding at work in general? Indonesian law requires or permits that all workplaces are required to provide a dedicated lactation room with standardized facilities. However, this regulation is not always followed or enforced. Some workplaces and businesses that are supportive of breastfeeding mothers may provide the following. They might provide paid breastfeeding breaks, also flexible work arrangements, childcare facilities on site or nearby, access to breastfeeding counselors and support groups, also a supportive and inclusive work culture. Other workplaces and businesses may provide less support or none at all. This can make it difficult for breastfeeding mothers to continue breastfeeding when they return to work. So what can be done to support breastfeeding in Indonesia? Overall, is to educate yourself, moms themselves, and others about the benefits of breastfeeding and the risks of breast milk substitutes, to support breastfeeding-friendly workplaces and businesses, and to advocate for policies that support breastfeeding mothers, such as paid maternity leave and breastfeeding breaks in the workplace. Raise awareness of women's rights to maternity leave, and provide support to women workers to claim their maternity leave entitlements. That's where we come in, right? To give them that support, that they can voice up for themselves. Strengthen enforcement of maternity leave laws and regulations. Doesn't help if it's just a law and it doesn't get enforced, right? Promote breastfeeding-friendly workplaces and businesses. So what can workplaces do to support breastfeeding mothers? Definitely implementing a breastfeeding policy that outlines the company's commitment to supporting breastfeeding mothers and provides specific guidance on things like breastfeeding breaks, lactation rooms, and childcare. Providing training to managers and employees on breastfeeding awareness and support. and creating a supportive and inclusive work culture that encourage breastfeeding for mothers to talk about their needs and their challenges. It's very important that we create a culture, right? Providing financial assistance to breastfeeding mothers, such as subsidized and supplies for childcare. Right, so I've come to the end of my presentation already. Can you believe it? Yes, I've come to the end of it. So that was where I wanted to leave it with the Indonesian context. If you have any questions or discussions, I'm right here for you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much for your amazing presentation, Dr. Margaret. Now it's time to discussion session. For all participants who want to ask a question, you can raise your hand or you can write in comment section.
Thank you. Gimana caranya? Di luar kan?
Ask a question. Okay.
Sorry, I lost you for quite some time. I don't know if there was a question that I needed to answer, if you can just repeat it.
Maulina. Miss Maulina. Oh, ada masih sananya ya.
First, thank you for moderator and thank you for the program. My name is Ainatila. I would ask, what do you think about a mother who considers working while breastfeeding a baby to be a hassle and prefers to prioritize work so that the baby needs are not really met? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that question. I didn't completely understand the question. I didn't get it. Can you repeat it? Just talk a bit slower.
Ulang pertanyaanmu. You repeat question.
What do you think about a mother who considers working while breastfeeding a baby to be a hassle and prefers to prioritize work so that the baby needs are not really met? Thank you so much.
So if I understand you well, it's a mother that wants to rather go work instead of continue to feed her baby.
Yes.
Yes. Obviously, it is a very real thing. We know that women are under a lot of pressure to go back to work, and they for all sorts of valid reasons. So we can never enforce moms to carry on with breastfeeding. The only thing we can do is to empower her with education. So she needs to know the value of why she wants to continue to breastfeed. That's all those benefits of prolonged breastfeeding that we mentioned, and encourage her to carry on. But if she still decides not to, then there's not much we can do, right? It's her decision. We can't enforce it on her, it's her decision. I do often think it is a lack of knowledge and a lack of support. So we can try to just offer better support for her.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, maybe there's another question.
Okay, Miss Maulina. Miss Maulina.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Miss Maulina. Is my voice heard? Yes. Okay. Hello, Miss. I'm Sari. This any question? Thank you. I asked, and my question is from Miss presentation about 4 months. 4 months maternity leave and working, and after the leave is not full week, but only 3 days of work and 3 days off. This weekend. Is this the policy of the South African government, or just the policy of some place of work? And must explain about the context of my Indonesia regards breastfeeding.
Okay, so in South Africa, it is by law that a woman has 4 months, indeed, of maternity leave, and that is with all workplaces that are officially registered. It's by law, and they need to pay maternity leave. It's up to the moms to organize that. And I think there's also quite a lot of women that work in informal sectors, same as what I think happens in Indonesia, where maybe they're not officially employed. They've worked on cash. They've been paid cash for their work they do. Like, for example, lots of housekeepers. I doubt that they have official maternity leave unless they had a good boss that will pay them for it. But I don't think the enforcement is equal everywhere. But overall, in the professional official businesses, this is the rule, and they do enforce it. Did I answer your question?
Yes. What is the success rate there in Africa Selatan? South Africa. What is the success breastfeeding rate there in South African?
The success rate of working of continuous breastfeeding.
Oh, of course. Thank you, Miss.
We also still have a lot of work to do in our country.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, Miss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Next, Miss Grace.
Especially for Miss Enda. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Grace.
Yes, thank you. Oh, jadi ini sebentar. Enggak ada. Hello, Miss. How are you? Okay. My question is, apa tuh? What is the success of exclusive breastfeeding in South Africa? The approach for working mother who have just given birth 1, 2, or 3 or more children, same of difference. If doesn't increase, what do you do?
If there's more children with exclusive breastfeeding, I think that's what you're trying to see. Yes, that's a good question. I think it's the hard work is always with the first baby, to get moms to understand breastfeeding and to get comfortable with that. And then after that, breastfeeding becomes quite normal, and moms really like to breastfeeding and they carry on with that. So I do think to have a good experience, then it carries on with the second and the third child as well. When there has been issues with the first child, then obviously it can go to the second child as well, that I don't do it, where we have a new opportunity to empower the moms. South Africa is a very diverse country. We've got very, very different cultures. I've learned by experience that the native African women, for them, they are very natural inclined to breastfeeding, and they also way more inclined to carrying the baby with them all the time. For them, it's much more natural to breastfeed for a long time. However, maybe your more modern women that are working women, they have more challenges. It's more difficult for them. So it really depends on what kind of woman you're dealing with. In our government sector, which the majority of women go to, like 85% of women go to a government facility to give birth. We are very, very strict on exclusive breastfeeding. So there's no formula in the hospitals. They don't allow any formula in hospitals. So they enforce exclusive breastfeeding right from the start, as well as the follow-up at the clinics. That we are very big on exclusive breastfeeding. Yeah, we enforce it quite strongly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, see you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Grace. There's another questions. Okay.
Okay, thank you for the moderator. My first question is, what if only a little breast milk comes out even though you have taken vitamins or supplements, but it still comes out so little that it can meet the baby's needs? And my second question, maybe a little out of topic. As we know, breastfeeding plays an important role for babies. I have a friend who has 8 siblings, and all of them has never tasted their mother's breast milk since birth because his mother had a history of illness, and all of them were only given formula milk. My question is, will it have an impact on his growth period? Thanks.
Okay, so the first question, thank you so much for those questions. If there's not enough milk supply, I think that is very realistic, that moms that are working and they need to express that they don't have enough milk. So for that, it is what you advise your mom then is to carry on with frequent expressing and don't put too much attention on the amount that comes out, instead of wanting to have one big good expression session with a lot of milk. So encourage her to have frequent expressions to carry on, because it's obviously the stimulation of the breast that is needed. And then to when she is with baby, to let baby also carry on suckling as much as baby wants to keep getting that milk production going. Because we actually can reintroduce breast milk if a mom has stopped by just frequent expression and stimulation. The breast milk will come back. I think in this case, you need to look at the individual situation. So there's no one size fit all answer for these things. So it could be that a mommy is too stressed out at work, that she doesn't have time or don't be able to relax for the milk letdown to happen. So then you can help her with some tips like find a quiet space, have a photo of your baby, try to take some deep breaths to relax more. She might just be completely stressed out about it, and that's why not enough milk comes out. So I think there's an individualistic approach needed to try to unpack and see what the issue is really. It's it can be multi-layered. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But just encourage her to not give up. That's, I think, the thing. She might just need that encouragement. And then for babies that have never had breast milk, yes, of course, there are many adults walking around that never had any breast milk, I'm sure. That has happened. So that's why we do have substitutes. For me, it's like the same like with a natural birth versus a cesarean section. There are many babies that never came out a natural way, but through a Caesar, which we know is not ideal, but it is sometimes needed. So I think we need to try to get to that place where it only happens when it's really not otherwise possible, like for example in your situation. But it shouldn't be the norm, because we are shortcutting the benefits for these babies. They will probably be fine and overcome the challenges or shortfalls that I never had. They might have been a bit more frequently sick. Maybe not. Maybe they were lucky to be totally fine, But as humans, we are very tough and we can overcome things that were not ideal. So, but that mustn't take us away from trying to do everything we can to make breastfeeding available for most babies. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay, thank you so much for all the participants who gave the question. Okay, maybe before we end this session, maybe Dr. Margaret, you can give us your closing statement.
I'm just very curious. I don't know if I can ask you also a question to hear what your main challenges are. Like, I've done my research. Was that quite correct? What I presented?
Yes.
All right, so that is quite correct. What is going on in Indonesia? Well, I think you guys are then on a very good track. It sounds like you are making positive strides to improve breastfeeding for moms, exclusive breastfeeding, as well as breastfeeding at work. Don't underestimate the power you have in your hands by encouraging mothers and to giving them a voice wherever they are when they go back to their work to stand up for their rights. So you're doing an incredible work in that regard. So I wish you all the best and hope that your breastfeeding rates will increase going forward.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Margaret. Before we end this, I will read the conclusion of this session. I'm going to read the conclusion of Dr. Margaret's topic about when working impacts breastfeeding. Let's make sure it's positive. So workplace can support breastfeeding mother, provide specific guidance on things like breastfeeding breaks, lactation room, and childcare. Creating a supportive and inclusive work culture that encourages breastfeeding mothers to talk about their needs and challenges. Providing financial assistance to breastfeeding mothers, such as subsidies for breastfeeding supplies or childcare. Okay, so we as the committee would like to give the certificate for you to the fourth speaker of this conference. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Margaret Webling. Thank you so much for being here with us and share your experience and knowledge, especially about the innovation in healthcare. Okay, see you again later, Dr. Margaret Webling. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. All the best.
Okay. Okay, now we move to another speakers, to Mrs. Suprihartini, Master of Health. Hello, Mrs. Suprihartini.
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Suprihartini, I'd like to read your profile first. I'd like to read the CV of Mrs. Suprihartini. Mrs. Suprihartini is the head of Department of Medical Laboratory Technology, Polytechnique of Health, East Kalimantan. She completed her master program from Hasanuddin University in 2013 and bachelor degree from Widyagama Mahakam University in 2004. Her research focused in traditional medicine, sandalwood utilization to decrease the blood sugar level. Her skill including hematology, immunohematology, laboratory quality control, and phlebotomy. Okay, Mrs. Suprihartini, this session will be divided into two parts. The first part is presentation around 30 minutes, and the second part is discussion about 15 minutes. All the audience can ask a question by raising your hand, or you can write your question in the chat box. Okay, Mrs. Suprihartini, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Is my voice clear?
Yes, we can hear it clearly.
Okay. I want to discuss about breast milk giants affect breastfeeding on newborn babies. My presented subject is divided into three parts. Immune system in breast milk, part 2 about breast milk jaundice affect breastfeeding. Into the discussion of the immune system in breastfeeding. Breastfeeding has an important role in helping the health and growth to the baby. The first passive immunity by the immunoglobulin A antibodies, protection against infection, reduce of the rise of celiac disease. The second, regulation of gut permeability. The three, bioactive antimicrobial factor. The four, the extract of immunoregulation. 5. Antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory again. Into the discussion of breast milk jaundice affect breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is considered as an optimal way to feed infant during the neonatal period. Providing them with the development nutrient needed and saving their immune system. In the community, the impact of neonatal breastfeeding jaundice on reduce breastfeeding and vaccination rate has been widely observed, which might resulting in adverse consequences for infant growth and disease prevention, even though clinical generally advise continuing exclusive breastfeeding during breast milk jaundice. Breastfeeding jaundice and breastfeeding milk jaundice are two patterns of jaundice in newborn, which can occur with breastfeeding. The World Health Organization (WHO) recommended exclusive breastfeeding of infant for the first 6 months of life. But among the factors leading to interruption or a yearly internation of breastfeeding. Breastfeeding milk jaundice is one of the main factors. Breast milk contains the substance beta-glucuronidase, which in the intestine decomposes glucuronic acid from conjugated bilirubin and allow bilirubin to be reabsorbed by the enterohepatic circulation. The intestinal flora effect on the host is mainly through metabolites, among them short chain fatty acid has received extensive attention in intestinal disease in recent years. Interestingly, short chain fatty acid may be the key between dysbacteriosis in the occurrence of breastfeeding milk jaundice. SGFR are mainly produced by the fermentation of dietary fiber by microbiota, which is produced in the upper part of the colon near the ileocecal junction. Coincidentally, the enterohepatic circulation of bilirubin that induce breast milk jaundice also happens to be hydrolytically separate at the end of the ileum. And the form conjugated bilirubin that is absorbed by the intestine. The healthy intestinal tract is basically maintained in anaerobic or low oxygen conditions, resulting in the composition of the intestinal flora being dominated by anaerobic bacteria. This might be due to the alternation of intestinal flora induced by intestinal inflammation, which result in a decrease of metabolite represented by short chain fatty acid. Short chain fatty acid can attack on specific protein G coupled receptor 41 and 43. Thereby modulating the immune response, the mind response presented is inhibition of inflammation. Decrease in HGFR, short chain fatty acid, due to this bacteriosis can aggravate the intestinal inflammatory response, which lead to a crash in intestinal motility, resulting in the lack of bilirubin entering the enterohepatic circulation and ultimately causing the development of breast milk jaundice. Thus, this bacteriosis affect bilirubin excretion, might be regulating the SGFR, protein G coupled receptor 41 and 43. Increasing breast milk jaundice. Study demonstrate that BD4 bacterium can inhibit bilirubin enterohepatic circulation by reducing the activity of beta glucuronidase. Prebiotic Saccharomyces boulardii has been found a potential mechanism from decreasing enterohepatic circulation, namely increasing intestinal polymerase to promote intestinal maturities. Probiotics are non-digestible food supplement which decrease serum bilirubin via regulasi intestinal microflora to remove the regulation of beta glucuronidase in the middle colon. Reduce the enterohepatic circulation of bilirubin. This bacteriosis can lead to the decrease in short chain fatty acid and down-regulated the G protein coupled receptor 41 and 43 pathway, leading to a diminished inhibition of intestinal inflammation, thereby decrease intestinal motility and the large amount of bilirubin entering the enterohepatic circulation. Ultimately, this change will lead to the occurrence and development of breast milk jaundice. Okay, in conclusion, microbial specific immunoglobulin in breast milk play an important role in increasing resistance to infection during this vulnerable early stage of life. Modulating this bacteriosis in breast milk jaundice is an effective strategy target for reducing serum bilirubin. Prebiotic may be referred as potential adjuvants modulating this bacteriosis in breast milk jaundice is an effective strategy target for reducing serum bilirubin. And that bring us to the end. I did like to thank you for your time and attention today. Thank you so much. I return the moderator.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Supriyatini, for the amazing presentation. Okay, all the audience can ask a question by raising your hand, or you can write your question in the comment section, and then I'm going to read them for you. Okay?
My question is,
Okay.
can breast milk jaundice be prevented by immunization? If so, what immunization should we get?
Okay. Aisha, maybe you can repeat your question, or maybe you can give the question in Indonesia.
Yes, bahasa Indonesia.
Ya, silakan Aisyah.
Apakah penyakit kuning ASI itu bisa dihindari dengan adanya imunisasi? Jika iya, imunisasi apa yang harus kita dapatkan? Ibu.
Oke, Ibu. Pertanyaan tadi, apakah bisa dicegah dengan imunisasi?
Maaf, masih di unmute. Moderator bisa minta diulang, mohon
Oke,
diulang pertanyaannya.
Ya, Ibu tadi pertanyaannya, apakah bisa penyakit kuning tersebut dicegah dengan imunisasi, dan imunisasi apa? Gitu.
Baik, izin saya menjawab. Jadi setelah dari penjelasan tadi materi yang sudah kita sampaikan tadi, untuk bayi kuning ya. Nah ini diobatinya bukan karena diberi vaksin, tapi ya bayi baru lahir itu memang harus diberi kolostrum ya. ASI yang pertama baru keluar dari ibunya itu harus diberi, karena dari kolostrum ini akan mengandung ya, kolostrum ini mengandung imunoglobulin ya, flora bakteri normal ya yang untuk membantu pada pencernaan di bayi. Jadi apabila ada bayi kuning, nah untuk tetap dilakukan pemberian ASI. Jadi kalau untuk imunisasi khusus ini ada imunisasi kan vaksin memang ada untuk pencegahan dari penyakit yang lain. Tapi kalau bayi yang kuning ini tetap harus diberi ASI sesering mungkin. Ya. Bagaimana? Ya,
Baik, Aisyah.
Jawab, Ibu.
Sudah cukup? Okay. There's another question. Okay, you can raise your hand.
Apakah bisa diterima ini moderator jawaban dari saya?
Bisa, Ibu.
Ya.
Oke.
Ya karena di dalam ASI itu mengandung makanan ya, kemudian imunoglobulin ya, kemudian flora normal atau prebiotik ya tadi flora normal prebiotik dari ASI. Ya.
Okay, maybe I can translate it. The question from Aisha. She asked question, can the jaundice be prevented by the immunization? So the answer is, the jaundice not prevent from the immunization, but from the colostrum. The colostrum is the first breast milk that mother give the first time babies carry out to the world, because the colostrum have the immunoglobulin A and prebiotic. Okay. Maybe there is no another question. So I will give the conclusion. The conclusion of this session is, I'm going to read it. The topic about breast milk jaundice affect breastfeeding on newborn babies. So microbial specific immunoglobulin in breast milk play an important role in increasing resistance to infection during this vulnerable early stage of life. Prebiotic may be leveraged as potential adjuvant. Modulating dysbacteriosis in breast milk jaundice is an effective strategic target for reducing serum bilirubin. So before we end this session, we ask the committee would like to give the certificate for the fifth speaker of this conference, to Mrs. Supraratni. This certificate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Supriyartini, for joining us on the Health Polytechnique of East Kalimantan. Really appreciating it. For our participants, thank you very much for being wonderful participant during this session. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Hopefully I can see you again, and thank you very much. So now I'm giving back to the MC.
Thank you, Miss Julia, for bringing us to a very productive session today. And now we're going to present the poster presentation. The poster made by Norlina, and the title is The Effect of Papaya Leaves on Breast Milk Production in Breastfeeding Mother at Bontang Utara Health Center Working Area. And I would like to read some announcement for all the participants. The first, you need to fulfill the attendance and the evaluation, and we will appreciate with you if you complete that provided you feedback. And the second, make sure you type the name and the title correctly. And the last, certificate will be provided to each participant upon completion of the attendance and the evaluation. And now we finally come to an end of today's agenda. In this opportunity, I would like to thank you for the last time to representative from Ministry of Health of Republic of Indonesia, Director of Health Polytechnique of East Kalimantan, along with staff, our speaker, our moderator, and our sponsorship, and especially for our participant today. May we all got much science and useful in our life. As human being, I realize that I can't avoid the mistake. I represent all committee, the 3rd International Conference Lactation Management. Would like to say sorry if we have many mistakes. Thank you for your active participation today. And the last I say, I will give you pantun. A monkey is stealing apple pie. It presses a button to open the gateway. I promise this is not a goodbye, and I will see you again someday. Thank you for everything, and see you next conference. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
of Excellence for Science and Technology, Polytechnique Kemenkes, UIPK is necessary to support implementation of the instruction of the head of the Health PPSDM against of Ministry Health of Republic Indonesia. UIPK is expected to become the center of the development of applied science and technology in the health sector in Indonesia and involve all stakeholders. Vision to become a reference center for the art of science, research and community service to develop breast milk technology to create a healthy and independent social. Mission: first, to become a research center for breast milk technology development. Second, become a national reference for the development of standardized breast milk technology. And third, realizing the development of applied-based breast milk technology.